The sun was sinking low over the outskirts of the city, casting long shadows across forgotten alleys and empty lots. It was one of those places people pretended didn't exist. A stretch of broken glass, rusted cans, and silence. Officer Ethan Cole had been patrolling these back roads for years, driving through the corners of the city most had given up on. But that evening, something felt different. His radio crackled with static, and through the quiet, he thought he heard a soft, broken whimper. Not loud enough to be sure, but real enough to make him stop. He stepped out of the car, the air thick with the smell of rot and burned plastic. At first, there was nothing, just trash and torn rags scattered in the dirt. Then, in the corner of his eye, something moved. Small, fragile, half hidden beneath the ripped blanket. As he walked closer, his heart began to pound. There, lying still in the dirt, was a little girl. Her skin was pale and paper-thin, her hair tangled with dust. For a moment, he thought she was gone until he saw the faintest rise and fall of her chest. Ethan dropped to his knees beside her, whispering softly, even though he didn't know her name. Her eyes fluttered open just for a second, a faint blue, distant, but alive. That was enough. He grabbed his radio and called for an ambulance, his voice breaking with urgency. Beside her lay a small stuffed bear, burnt and torn, with a stitched name tag on its ear. For Ivy. Love, Mom. He picked it up carefully, brushing off the dirt. Beneath it, a faded photo, a woman and a little girl smiling in front of a house that looked nothing like this. When the medics arrived, they worked fast. Ethan held Ivy's hand as they lifted her onto the stretcher, whispering, "You're safe now, sweetheart, you're safe." But even after they drove away, he couldn't stop thinking about that name Ivy and the photo that spoke of a life stolen by something cruel. He stayed at the hospital that night, waiting outside the pediatric ICU. Hours passed before a nurse came out to say she was stable, but malnourished, surviving only on rainwater and scraps. Ethan sat there, watching the monitor beep softly beside her bed, vowing he wouldn't rest until he knew her story. By dawn, he found it. A report from nearly 2 years ago. Ivy Malone, 6 years old, missing after her mother, Claire, was last seen fleeing an abusive home. Both had vanished without a trace. Days turned into weeks. Ivy began to recover. Her cheeks filled out slightly, but she spoke very little. Sometimes, in her sleep, she whispered words like "mommy" and "don't hit." Every time, it shattered Ethan's heart. Then one afternoon, the phone rang. A nearby shelter had found a woman wandering the edge of the city, bruised, exhausted, and muttering about losing her little girl in a fire. Her name was Claire. Ethan drove there immediately. The woman looked like a shadow, hair matted, eyes empty. But when he showed her the photo he'd found by Ivy's side, something inside her broke open. Tears streamed down her face as she clutched it to her chest, whispering, "She's Ivy, a broken bar, my baby's Ivy, a broken bar." The reunion at the hospital was something no one could forget. Ivy's eyes widened once she saw the woman standing by the door. There was silence, just the sound of two hearts recognizing each other. Then Ivy whispered, "Mommy." Clara fell to her knees, holding her daughter close, trembling and sobbing. The nurses wiped their eyes. Even Ethan turned away, his hand covering his face, tears slipping through his fingers. For years, he had seen pain, loss, and cruelty. But in that moment, he remembered why he wore the badge, because somewhere in the darkness, kindness still mattered. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Let's remind the world that compassion still exists, and that one small act of care can rewrite a life. As Ethan walked out of the hospital that evening, the sky glowed orange, just like the night he found her. But this time, instead of silence, he heard laughter echoing softly from Ivy's room. And for the first time in a long while, he smiled, knowing that even in the darkest places, a broken bar, kindness can still bring light.